Chapter 281. Thea was studying Superman's attack style, but she found that the other party's fighting style was completely different from her own. There was no way she could use it as a reference. She sighed and prepared to wait for the Parallax Demon to die before absorbing its origin power to deepen the foundation of her ring and the new function of the Book of Inspection. However, this inadvertent glance made her discover the Parallax Demon's abnormality. "What's wrong?" Batman asked. "This guy's power is slowly increasing again." Thea was a little in disbelief. She took a closer look before she said to Batman, "Could it be that the citizens are providing him with that fear?" Amanda kept looking around as if a monster would jump out of the quiet houses around her. Thea did not answer. Logically speaking, she did not see the Parallax Demon's intention to absorb fear. However, his continuous increase in power was not fake. From being beaten up by Superman one-sidedly, he now had some ability to fight back. There was even one time when Superman was almost surrounded by smoke. Fortunately, he reacted in time and suddenly exerted his strength to squeeze out of the gap in the smoke. The Parallax Demon seemed to have no good way to deal with this guy with copper skin and iron bones. His energy attacks were all neutralized by Superman's heat rays. However, the Guardian's knowledge was too little related to combat. He now had a huge amount of energy, but he could not hit Superman. This made him a little annoyed. He accelerated the speed at which he destroyed the surrounding buildings, trying to create an open space to crush Superman with his body size. Where did this guy get his energy from? Thea opened the Eye of Horus and observed carefully. She could see that Superman's power was beginning to decrease, but the Parallax Demon's power was not depleted. How was this possible? It's the satellite. All the satellites in the world are gathered here. Won't the people around the world be affected by the TV broadcast? Batman suddenly said, which made Thea suddenly realize. That's right. This bunch of news media is just here to watch the show. They are constantly providing new fears to the Parallax Demon. Amanda, contact the government and stop all broadcasts. Thea made a prompt decision. Regardless of whether it was true or not, she had to stop the satellite broadcast. Do you think I'm putting on a monkey show? I don't have the habit of performing in public. Amanda also realized the seriousness of the situation. She made calls like crazy, but in less than 3 minutes, she said in frustration, "No, many media outlets are not controlled by the government. The financial groups behind them don't buy it." Thea nodded. She could already imagine the scene of those fat tycoons refusing Amanda with cigars in their mouths. It was a typical example of them not caring about anything. "Since you guys lack the spirit of a national chess game, then don't blame me." She pulled Amanda aside and asked in a low voice, "Can we use hackers to hack those satellites?" Amanda, who was used to being lawless, was frightened by her. She whispered, "That's thousands of satellites around the world." Thea glanced at her and contacted her number 1 henchman. "You want to hack all the satellites around the world." Felicity had always been extraordinarily bold. Now, she was also shocked by Sia's shocking move. She thought for a moment about the feasibility of this major event. "But our computers are not good enough. I still need some helpers. Let me borrow Wayne Group's supercomputer. I'll find you some helpers." Thea ignored the fact that Batman was listening in on the side. She blatantly ordered Felicity to hack Wayne Group. As for the helpers, it might be difficult for others, but it was not difficult for Thea, who knew the plot. "Can you release Felicity's father, the world's top hacker, Noah Smoker, to help her?" Thea turned to Amanda and asked, "You've investigated him. Okay, I'll ask him and a few other hackers to help. Remember, this has nothing to do with the Heaven's Eye Society. It's a group of hackers spontaneously formed." Amanda lied, but she did not believe it herself. It was impossible for father and daughter to meet. One was still in prison and the other was in Star City. Sia had no way of knowing if the father and daughter could sense that the other party was someone they were familiar with through their cooperation. However, the satellite signal on the screen was decreasing rapidly. The speed of the Parallax Demon's energy recovery was slowing down. "It's working. Continue." She was the only one who could see the specific energy fluctuations. She controlled the others to continue hacking until all the satellites were hacked. However, when there were more than 20 signals left on the screen, Felicity's bitter voice came. Some countries have internal control over their satellites. The network can't be connected. Needless to say, these were the satellites of those indescribable countries. What should they do? A serious problem was placed in front of them. It was not impossible to discuss it with them. They were very reasonable people. However, by the time they finished the meeting, the Parallax Demon would have to settle down on Earth. I heard that Wayne Group's Watchtower space base has some special shielding function? Thea looked at Batman with a serious expression. Batman almost bit his tongue. Destroying the temple, throwing bombs into the crowd, using a supercomputer to hack the world's satellites, and now you want to use my watchtower to cause trouble? Batman shook his head like a rattle drum. Absolutely not. He did not want to go all the way down the path of anti-humanity. Facing Batman, who vowed to die, only he knew the control password. If he did not agree, Thea would have to think of another way. What should I do? Thea hugged her elbows and kept thinking about her several methods. How about this? She felt the magic in her body. It did not conflict with the yellow light ring. It's pitch black here. You won't be able to see anything, right? In the face of a pitch-black night, ordinary people would not have any fear. Telling Batman not to fall, Thea brazenly activated her chosen one ability, Eternal Night. The energy of the yellow light ring seemed to be in good harmony with Thea's magic. It was also triggered by her magic. The overwhelming darkness covered the sky of Seaside City and dozens of miles around it. What is this? Everyone was affected. Thea did not have time to care about them. She first looked at Superman. She had to admit that Superman was really strong. Even Ares's talent was weakened by more than 10%, but it definitely had less than 10% effect on him. Perhaps because the Parallax Demon was possessed by a male guardian, it was also magically classified as a male and also suffered less than 10% reduction. Just when Thea thought that the battle would end with Superman's absolute advantage, her mental power sensed danger in the front right. She saw a smaller Parallax Demon emerge from the ground. Yellow Light Ring Bearer. Your time is up. The dazzling yellow light beam shot straight at Thea. Clang! Just as Thea was about to summon a shield to block the attack, a nimble figure landed in front of her. The person had a shield on his back and a sword on his back. He crossed his arms in front of him and blocked the light beam without taking a step back. Chapter 282. The person turned her head slightly. Her delicate face was adorned with a pair of bright eyes. Her face was filled with classical beauty, and it set off her tall nose bridge and red lips. Her wavy black hair was draped over her shoulders, just like yesterday. It was the scene of roasting wild boars together on Paradise Island. It was the dance under the moonlight in a small village in Belgium. It was the 100-year separation after the war. Diana Prince. Thea Quinn. I miss you so much. I've been looking for you. Before they could finish their words, they were replaced by a passionate kiss. This kiss contained all kinds of emotions. There was the sorrow of parting, the joy of meeting again, and most of all, the eternal love between them. Batman, who was working on some equipment at the side, was really shocked this time. Even if Mount Tai collapsed in front of him, his expression would not change. The electric drill in his hand directly pierced into his leg. Fortunately, his batsuit was thick enough to avoid the fate of being crippled. The two of them did not linger for long. Although they had a lot to talk about, now was not the best time. What is this thing? Diana looked at the Parallax Demon that was baring its fangs and brandishing its claws. She was a little surprised. This thing looked very fierce. There was no need to hide anything from Diana. Thea did not care if she understood or not and told her the whole story of the Parallax Demon. The incarnation of fear? Diana clenched her fists and thought for a while. I'm full of courage. I have no fear. Thea nodded vigorously to express her affirmation. That's right. Originally, Paradise Island had suffered a great loss. Perhaps there would be a gap in their hearts that would be swallowed by fear. But now, the people of Paradise Island were alive and kicking. No one would harm them. They could still live for 5,000 years. Diana was almost fearless. But who is that big guy? Is there someone so powerful on Earth? The big guy that Diana was referring to was Clark Kent. The Parallax Demon was very cunning. He took advantage of their lax state of mind. Not only did he ambush Thea, he also attacked the few fighter jets. Those unlucky fighter jets did not have Diana to tank the damage. Apart from one fighter jet that reacted slightly faster and was hit in the wing, the pilot successfully parachuted out. The rest of the pilots could be reported as having died for their country. Thea remembered that Superman and Diana were still a little flirtatious in the original timeline. She decided to nip the bud in the bud. In order to prevent Superman's superhearing, she set up a soundproof barrier. She bit Diana's ear and said, "That guy is an alien." Diana, who had a good impression of Superman's bravery, instantly had her impression of him drop by 20%. Her mission was to protect Earth, and she had killed many aliens over the years. Her impression of aliens was almost negative. Although Superman seemed to be a good alien, the thought of befriending him after the war faded. After taking a few glances at the battle, he realized that although Superman had the upper hand in the battle, the Parallax Demon was very cunning. It repeatedly used fainted citizens as cover, making Superman hesitate and not dare to attack with full force. "I'll go help him." After Diana finished speaking, she pulled out a sword that was very similar to the Godslayer and rushed forward with her shield. Sia looked at Diana with concern for a long time, only to find that Diana was no longer the same as before. Her strength had skyrocketed. If it was said that Sia was more likely to lose than win when they fought against each other back then, now she couldn't even see the shadow of victory. Diana's attacks were not like Superman's, which relied on strength to win. Superman's attacks looked fierce, but they seemed a little clumsy. It was very much in line with the essence of old American street fighting. It was the kind of fighting that did not defend or evade. It was an upgraded version of punching and seeing who would fall first. This made Thea, who prided herself as an outstanding grandmaster of combat on Earth, a little uncomfortable. This was because this fighting style was not beautiful at all. On the contrary, Diana's fighting style was very elegant. Her speed, strength, and skills were all at the peak of perfection. Every time she attacked, there would be 3 or 4 variations depending on the opponent's reaction. Occasionally, the power of the Silver Guardian bracelet would surge, and it could inflict heavy damage on the Parallax Demon. "She's really good. I have to work harder too," Thea muttered softly. "This woman is your friend? And why is this veil of darkness that you cast affecting everyone?" Batman walked to her side at the right time. He was holding a strange-looking big gun in his arms. The muzzle of the gun was the size of a bowl, and there were electric sparks flashing from the magazine from time to time. What kind of black technology was this? Thea glanced at it and did not understand. "Ah, she's a friend that I've known for a long time." As she said that, she pointed to the sky again. "This is magic. I've mentioned it to you before." Thea was not in the mood to explain her talent to Batman. Batman could not help but look up at the sky. The moon is still in its original orbit. But where did this moon come from? However, no one answered him. Thea recharged the lamp ring. It was not appropriate to instantiate Ares in front of Diana. Fortunately, she still had another familiar god that she could instantiate, the hawk god Horus. A giant divine hawk with a body length of more than 50 meters and a wingspan of 300 meters appeared on the battlefield. The divine hawk's right eye flashed with a terrifying light. It was obviously the eye of Horus. Thea flew into the divine hawk's body and controlled it. She flew to the Parallax Demon like a sharp arrow released from a bow. Her iron hook-like claws grabbed a large cloud of yellow gas straight into the sky. After absorbing it, she charged forward again. Superman, who had the support of the 2 girls, was finally relieved of a lot of pressure. He looked at the 2 girls from time to time. Thea's attack pattern was not unfamiliar. After all, he had seen it before. It was similar to the guy who had been instantiating a green weapon not far behind him, except for the color of their clothes. However, Diana really attracted his attention. This woman was too strong. Superman was not a martial arts master. He actually did not have a specific idea of how his strength increased and decreased. He only knew that it was very strong. Therefore, although Thea's discriminating barrier cut off less than 10% of his strength, the total energy in his body was too large to notice any major abnormalities. Now that his strength was reduced by 10%, and Diana had increased it by 30%, the originally small distance between the two was instantly narrowed, giving Superman the illusion that this woman was about the same as him. As Batman's good friend, Superman also had a bit of a male chauvinist tendency. No matter what, he could not watch the two girls defeat the enemy. A serious Superman was terrifying. His strength was almost limitless, and it was increasing every minute and every second. A large amount of smoke on the surface of the Parallax Demon's body was dispersed, and its body, which originally occupied the entire street, also had a tendency to shrink. Green Lantern, use your chain to create an opportunity for them. Thea flew to Hal Jordan, who was instantiating an anti-aircraft gun and was having a good time fighting the Parallax Demon. This guy really had no experience in team combat. As his mentor, Sinisto would have a headache for a while.